The estate at Higher Walton was originally acquired in 1812 by Edward Greenall of the brewing firm Greenall-Whitley, which was founded in St Helens in 1762 by his father Thomas Greenall. In 1786, Thomas Greenall acquired the Saracen's Head Brewery in Wilderspool, south of Warrington, as part of a new partnership, which rebuilt it between 1789 and 1791. Located midway between the markets of Liverpool and Manchester, the brewery had access to reliable wells and water transport along the River Mersey. Upon his retirement from the firm, Edward Greenall's youngest son, Gilbert, commissioned the architect and railway engineer Edmund Sharp of Lancaster to construct Walton Hall between 1836 and 1838. He designed the hall in the Neo-Elizabethan style, employing stone-dressed brown brick and graded slate roofs. The east or garden front is almost symmetrical, with two wide bay windows on the ground floor and two corbie or crow-step gables above. Pinnacled octagonal buttresses stand at the centre and each corner. The north or entrance front is asymmetrical, with a broad windowless projecting gable and a central projecting two-storey porch with shaped double doors of oak and a semicircular stone oriel window above. The hall was extended and altered between 1869 and 70, with tall new wings added to the south and west in the Gothic Revival style. These extensions were demolished in 1977, although a new two-storey south wing was added once again in 2013. Integral to the large west wing was the four-stage clock tower, linked to the hall by a screen wall with blank Tudor windows. The clock tower is surmounted by a shaped lead-roof cupola and a large weather vane. During Gilbert's ownership in the 19th century, the Walton estate grew to 7,000 acres, much of it let to local tenant farmers. He became the Conservative Member of Parliament for Warrington in 1847 and held this position almost unbroken for 45 years. Gilbert was created a baronet in February 1876 on the recommendation of the Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli and was chairman of Greenall-Whitley from 1880 to 1894. The Greenalls attended All Saints Church at Daresbury, which was largely rebuilt between 1870 and 1872 by the Lancaster architect firm Paley and Austin in the modern Perpendicular style, although the original stone tower dating from 1550 was retained and restored. Sir Gilbert Greenall paid for the restoration of the tower and was also a benefactor of other local churches. His twin brother Richard Greenall was rector of St Matthew's Church at the nearby village of Stretton from 1831 to 1867. In 1885, Gilbert commissioned Paley and Austin to build the St John the Evangelist Church in Higher Walton. It is the principal building in the estate village, constructed of local sandstone with Westmoreland green slate roofs. It has a massive four-stage tower with checkered pattern brickwork and a recessed octagonal stone spire, with an octagonal northwest stair turret. Sir Gilbert was a friend of the author and mathematician Lewis Carroll, the pen name of Charles Lutwidge Dodgson, who was born in 1832 at the All Saints Parsonage in Newton-by-Daresbury, and lived there until he was 11. 9 of his 10 siblings were also born at the parsonage, which was built in 1819 on glebe land, 1.5 miles from the village. His father, the Reverend Charles Dodgson, was the perpetual curate at All Saints Church Daresbury between 1827 and 1843. Today the one-acre site is owned by the National Trust, with a commemorative stone and a series of interpretive displays and sculpture. The outline of the parsonage is represented by bricks sunk at ground level, with the sculpture at the corners tracing where the walls would have stood, and an arch marking the exact position of the front door. Lewis Carroll was also a pioneer photographer and took this picture of the building in 1860. A second ornamental arch topped by a crown stands over the well, which was sunk at the rear of the house. Its grid features a dormouse worked in metal. The building had a schoolroom where Carroll's father taught Latin and Greek to paying resident pupils. The 1841 census lists a total of 22 people living at the house. However, the building was empty when it burnt down around 1884. The elevated site stands in the corner of a field, accessed from a path from Higher Lane. 150 metres west of the junction of Morphany Lane and Higher Lane lies the Lewis Carroll Centenary Wood, planted in early 2000 by the Woodland Trust as a Millennium Project to commemorate 100 years since the author's death in 1898. Local people were involved in the design and subsequent planting of the woodland. At just under a hectare, it consists of 2 blocks of native deciduous trees separated by a path and a glade. A circular stand of 6 oaks were planted at the western edge of the glade, around a commemorative stone tablet. It is claimed that Lewis Carroll is the most quoted author in the world after the Bible and Shakespeare. Carroll's pseudonym derives from the retranslation of the Latin form of his first names reversed, and he first used it when he was 24. He was educated at home prior to attending Richmond Grammar School in North Yorkshire and Rugby School in Warwickshire. When he was 19, he went to Christ Church College, Oxford to study mathematics and classics, where he lectured in mathematics between 1855 and 1881. All Saints Church was then under the control of the college, which received tithes from Daresbury and appointed its vicars and curates, including Carroll's father. The present All Saints Vicarage stands opposite the church and was built in 1904. The east window of the Daniel Chapel is a memorial to the author, dedicated on the 30th of June 1935 by Herbert Jones, the Bishop of Warrington, to celebrate the centenary of Carroll's birth. It was designed by renowned stained glass artist Geoffrey Webb and financed by subscribers from around the world. Webb signed his windows by incorporating a spider's web in the design, which in the Daresbury window can be found above the Queen of Hearts. The upper panels of the window depict a nativity scene. The leftmost panel portrays Lewis Carroll with Alice Liddell. Across the base of the window are 5 smaller panels. These contain images based on Sir John Tenniel's illustrations of the characters and scenes from the Alice books. The 3 centre panels contain verses from Carroll's poem Christmas Greetings. The famous Cheshire Cat can be found in the centre of the 5th panel. In March 2012, the Lewis Carroll Visitor Centre opened. Housed in an elegant semicircular sandstone structure with tall windows where the north porch used to stand. The former north porch was converted to become a lich gate, providing access from the enlarged car park. Descriptive panels give information about Carroll and other members of the family. Hanging in the room is the meeting bell his father rang to call canal boat families to the Canal Barge Mission Church at Preston Brook Basin, where the Bridgewater and Trent Mersey canals meet. The church and visitor centre are open daily from 10 AM to late, and there is no admission charge. Many of the buildings of the estate village of Higher Walton were constructed between 1850 and 1912 at the expense of the Greenalls, and some are Grade II listed. The Walton Arms is an impressive brick structure originally built in 1800 and known as the Bay Horse Inn. This was a famous refreshment stop for passengers on a horse-drawn packet boat that used to travel along the Bridgewater Canal at weekends and public holidays. The inn was renamed the Walton Arms when it was rebuilt in a more elaborate style in 1879, with tall decorated chimneys and brick mullioned windows. At the turn of the 20th century, the pub served as a halt for horse-drawn buses along the Old Chester Road, prior to the modern A56 dual carriageway bypassing the village. Sir Gilbert Greenall's son, also called Gilbert, inherited the Walton estate in July 1894 when he was 27. He was a prominent agriculturalist and a renowned breeder of pigs, cattle and horses, with the stables at Walton producing a number of renowned races. He established a model estate at Walton and was president of the Royal Agricultural Society in 1910 and 1925, and was created the first Baron Daresbury of Walton in July 1927 by King George V for services to agriculture. His wife, Frances Eliza, was a keen gardener, and with the help of 26 groundsmen and a pony-drawn lawnmower, she shaped Walton's famous gardens, including the pond, which was added in the 1920s. Between 1910 and 1930, open days were held at Walton, along with an annual agricultural show, which could attract up to 45,000 visitors. When Lord Daresbury died in October 1938, the burden of £500,000 of death duties, together with the onset of the Second World War, forced his son Edward to sell the hall and the majority of the 7,000-acre Walton estate in 1941, whilst retaining around 900 acres south of Higher Walton. Warrington Borough Council paid £19,000 for the hall, gardens and parkland. The tenant farmers also purchased some of the estate farms. During the war, officers were billeted in the hall and the outbuildings were used by troops. Fire engines were kept in the riding school, which was restored in 2017. The grounds were open to the public on the 19th of May 1945, 11 days after VE Day. Walton's original 9-hole municipal golf course opened in May 1970. It was extended and redesigned in 1975 by David Thomas and Peter Allis to provide the full 18 holes. Within Walton's grounds there are bowling greens, a miniature golf course, and a 9-hole pitch and putt course. There is also a children's zoo and play area. A heritage cafe is located within the former stables, along with several craft and business units. In October 2019, Walton's range of glasshouses reopened to the public for the first time since they were closed in September 1993. This followed 17 months of restoration financed by the Heritage Lottery Fund. 90% of the original bricks dating from 1899 to 1910 were able to be retained following cleaning and rebuilding with a lime mortar. Nearly all of the original ironwork has been repaired, reused and repainted, often in the distinctive powder blue colour. Similarly, much of the original timber was reused internally, with new timber utilised for the external beams. Along with public display space, part of the Glasshouses range is used as a vocational training facility by Myerscough College, and the Glasshouses also provide opportunities for horticultural social enterprise, such as the Walton Lea Partnership,